everybody? It's Kelsee Briana J. And in today's video, I wanted to analyze and compare all four of the Natasha Denona face palettes. And she just recently gave us a new addition to the face palette family, the Bronze Cheek Face Glow palette, and I've already had the other three, and I just started to notice that there were some similarities across these palettes, and so I figured why not give you guys a comparison of all four of these, and let's talk about the similarities and the differences of these palettes, because I've talked about all of these before on my channel, and some of them have even gotten their own videos, but for the most part I think that two of them at least have been bundled in to other palette videos when she launched them, but ultimately I haven't really given these any more love, so I figured why not do that today. So before I get into the similarities and differences of these palettes, I do want to jump into a little bit of a demonstration, and I'm going to show you all how I created this glowy cheek situation that you see here. And I did use all four of the palettes that I have right here to create this look. So let's go ahead and jump into that. And then following that, we'll jump into the meat of the video and we'll talk about these palettes and just really dissect them. So stay tuned, and I hope that you all enjoy. So as you can see, my cheeks are bare currently, so let me go ahead and fix that issue. So I think I want to go in first with a little bit of bronzer, so I'm going to go in with the tan palette. So the bronzer in this palette is a powder, so I'm going to go in with the Sonia G brush. This one is the Worker Fan brush, and I am going to bronze my face. And this bronzer is pretty deep. So I am about a MAC NC42 in complexion. NC43 sometimes. Right now I think I'm pretty comfortably NC42. And this color I think has a lot of depth to it. I think this could comfortably bronze somebody who is even like NC47 in MAC's terms. So if you're about 3 shades darker than me, I still think this bronzer will work for you, because I'm going in with just a little bit of products and it's blending out and it's giving me a lot of color. So I think this bronzer is nice. It is a warm toned bronzer, so if you're a person who likes golden bronzers, or if you're a person who likes neutral bronzers, I just put way too much on my forehead. I'm just gonna spend a little bit more time working that out. But if you're a person who likes those type colors, you may not enjoy this bronzer color because it does show up just a little bit red on the skin, but it mimics bronze. Okay, bronzy, bronzy. So now I want to add some highlight, and that's where I have an overabundance of options. I could go in with the highlights from this palette. If I want to have a golden highlight, this cream highlighter is a little bit more neutrally. It almost pulls champagne on me. If I want to go in with this color, this is like a traditional gold highlighter. It's not too dark. And then if I want to go in with this light gold highlighter, I mean, that always works. So this palette is just an easy, effortless choice. I don't have to think twice about it. All these colors could work. I could actually mix in a combination of all three and highlight my skin if I wanted to. And then if I wanted to go into the bronze face palette, this highlight right here would be really dark on me, because this color is just really rich in tone. It almost is a topaz color, so it's a very deep gold color, and I don't typically wear colors like that on the face. I like this color right here because it's a little bit lighter, but it still shows up as a little bit of a darker light gold. So in comparison to the tan palette's gold, you all can see that this one right here is a lot more light, and it is a little bit more iridescent, and this one is more sheer. And then these two up here are their cream products, and this one right here doesn't swatch well at all, but it's really, really light, and it just gives you a pink tint to it, so almost like an opalescent tone, but it's very, very sheer. And then we have this one, which this one again is like that sandy type color, and this one barely shows up. So if I felt like messing with this palette, I could get a soft highlighted look. But for me, I'd rather go in with the lighter hands versus trying to build something and build something and build something, because your girl just don't have time. And then the Bloom palette I think is really pretty. So this one has colors in here that are very, very rich. I don't really wear the dark blush colors too often, but it is so beautiful. It does show up a little bit more sheerly than it looks in the pan, but still it has a nice little pigment to it, and then I have to be careful with it. And then the Glow Cream Beige base right here, and I was just kind of warming it up because mine felt just a little bit dry. That right there, again, is a more sheer product. I mean, these are really, really pretty, but I would use these more as blush toppers. The Glow palette is really bright and pretty, and this one only has the one cream product in here, and this one is more so like a blush color to me. So let's see, what am I gonna do? Because I just went through all 4 of these palettes and I still have the slightest clue as to what I want to do. I'm gonna go into the Bloom, and I'm going to go into this color right here. This is a Royal and Langnickel BOM01. And I'm just going to pick up some of this color and let's pop it. Okay. I like this because it builds on top of powder that I've already put, and it's not picking up too much product. So I'm not mad at that. Again, it is more subtle, so it's going to create a nice base for one of these powder products. So let me just tap, 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 tap. Get this color highlighted and going. Come on, highlight. Natural flush. So like I said, the cream is nice, but it definitely needs a little bit more of a pop. So I'm going to go in with the highlight from the Love Glow palette with the same Worker Fan brush and just go right on top of that. Let's build up some highlight. That's why I love this brush so much. It's so multi-purposeful. Did that give us more highlight? Yes, it did. So now I need some blush. And for blush, I wouldn't look at either one of these 2 tan bronzy palettes for that because they're both just tan and bronze. I personally prefer a little bit of color on the cheeks. I'm going to dip into the cream blush from the Love Glow palette. I think that is my favorite color as far as a blush goes out of all 4 of the palettes because this one doesn't have the strong presence of an iridescence or glitter in it or anything like that, because I personally prefer a cream, non-glittery, more natural blush color. And I know some people are more daring than me with blush, and I'm not afraid of color. I'm not afraid of putting a little bit of oomph on it, but personally, my preference is to have a more natural color because I just think it's more complimentary. So across the board, I'm able to create a really nice glowy cheek look, and I think that it's a vibe. But do I feel like you need to have all 4 of these palettes to create this look? No, I don't. But I just have all 4. So I'm just showing you all the range and just how you can mix and match. But let's talk about the differences and the similarities and ultimately which one will be right for you, if any of them are right for you. So let's go ahead and get into that. So I hope that you all enjoyed that demonstration. Now let's talk about these palettes and really analyze them. So I'm on Sephora's app and I'm just looking at the Natasha Denona Cheek category, and Natasha Denona has given us a good amount of cheek products in the past few years. And initially she started out with the larger cheek palette, which I did review that on my channel with Mel. We did that as a collaboration, and the reason why I didn't include that in this video is because I believe these are going bye-bye because they've been on sale on Sephora's app for a while, and I don't see the other color that they had too. So I think these are getting discontinued. So I'm just focusing on these babies. But she also has little mini palettes, and again, I don't have all of those. I do have one, and I did feel like that one that I do have is not the same quality as these. So these palettes all retail for $55, and they each have 4 products in them. So the Bloom palette and the Bronze palette both have 2 cream products and 2 powder products. And then the Tan palette and the Love Glow palette each have 3 powder products and 1 cream product. So let's talk about these 2 by 2, and let's start off with the Love palette and the Bloom palette. So both of these palettes are the more colorful ones because these have more so of the traditional blush colors and highlighter colors, and then the other 2 are the more tannish, bronzy, highlighter centric type palettes. So let's first open up the Bloom palette and let's look at it. So this palette has a range of colors. So it's a little bit peachier. This palette contains a really deep shade, and this one right here, it goes on a little bit more sheerly than it looks in the pan, but it still is a pretty intense color if you layer it up. And then this color goes on a little bit more sheer, almost like a wash of a highlight. And then these two colors are really nice. You can use this one as a blush by itself if you want to, but I would use this as a blush topper. And then this right here is a more kind of tannish highlighter color, but it has just a little bit of a peach hint to it, and it does have a little bit of glitter in it as well. And then when we look at the Bloom palette, this palette has a really cute little design. It looks like a snow globe when you shake it up, so you can just sit there and play with that if you want to. But this palette has a similar vibe to it, but it doesn't have that super deep color that the Bloom palette has. This palette has that pinkish gold reflex type highlighter. Again, it has a bit of the glitter to it, and this color looks like it's going to be a little bit more prominent than it is, but it's almost like a wash of a pink gold highlight, and it does have glitter in it. So if you're a person who doesn't like glitter, this one has glitter. And then this top shade right here reminds me a little bit of NARS Orgasm, and it's very, very frosty, and this one is super, super opaque. So if you are a person who has texture here, I would not recommend this palette just because it is so intense. It has glitter in it, it has metallics in it. I would say this palette is the most intense out of all four of these. So if you're not a person who likes to wear that type of blush color or cheek products, I wouldn't go for this one because this one is very, very metallic. So for me personally, I think the Bloom palette is better than the Love Glow palette because the Bloom palette is more refined. This palette does have a glittery type highlighter, but overall, I think this one is more sophisticated than the Love Glow palette. But I like this palette. I think it's really pretty. It's very fun. It's very spunky. But on a day-to-day basis, I prefer this one because it doesn't have those super intense metallic colors. And I can sheer down this color if I want to. I personally don't reach for it that often, but I know that it's going to be beautiful. And out of the two palettes, the Bloom palette is more deep skin friendly. So I think that the deeper your complexion is, the more beautiful this palette is going to look on you. And this palette can look very stark. And as far as my complexion, I could go with either one and make either one work. It just depends on your preference. And if you have a lighter complexion, I would go with the Love Bloom palette because I feel like this one is easier to work with. But I would just go in with the lighter hands if you don't like very frosty cheek products. And also it comes down to if you like coral or do you like pinky gold. Which one? Because they both have that golden element to them, but one of them leans pink and the other one leans coral. So there's that. Next, let's talk about these two palettes, which I feel like these are a lot more similar than the first two because they essentially are bronzy palettes. They both are going to give the same effect, but one of them gives a more intense effect than the other. Let's start off with the Tan Bronze and Glow palette, which this is the one that I've had the longest in my collection. And this one has the one cream highlight, and then it has 3 other powder products. So this one actually has a bronzer in it. Granted, this bronzer is not going to work for everyone. I will say that it works for me, and I think that it will work for people who are deeper complected than me. I think that once you get to about a MAC NC50, that's pretty much the cutoff for who this is going to bronze. And then after that, I feel like this will be a useless product for you because it's just going to melt into your skin and it doesn't have any golden reflex to it, so you can't use it as a highlight. But these 3 products are really nice if you have my complexion or deeper. But I will say if you have a lighter complexion, these 2 top colors may read a little bit dark on you for a highlight because they are very, very strongly golden and they do pull just a little bit darker golden. This color can almost work for anybody. It's that light golden color. It has a little bit of a silver reflex to it, but if you have a deeper complexion, it'll still look pretty. And I think this color looks really nice and pretty on me. It's like that midway between being really, really light and then going directly into gold. It doesn't quite get there. It stops right at that point before it turns into a regular gold color. So I like this one. I think this one is formulated really nicely. The cream product in here is very smooth. It's very easy to work with. You can layer it. You can get a really nice glowy effect on the cheeks. And all these colors just work well with one another. I don't feel like they're repetitive. You can go in with just the cream product if you want a more subtle effect. You can go in with just this highlighter if you also want that same effect but with a little bit more pout to it. And then if you go in with this one, it'll give you a really nice glowy golden finish. And then you can layer them all together and they'll give you a nice everyday slay for the summer. So I like this one. I think that it's really pretty and it's effortless. So this is the newest kid on the block, the Bronze Cheek Face Glow palette, and I think this palette is okay. So these are the things I've noticed about it since using it. This color right here is way deeper than I typically like to go for with a highlighter. It is a topaz color. I don't use this color as a highlight because it is several shades darker than my complexion. But if your complexion is NC50 by MAC or deeper, this is going to pop on you like no other, and it's so subtle that you really can't overdo it. And then this color right here, if you have a deeper complexion, but you want to have that lighter golden highlight, it's okay. It will show up, but it's very, very soft, and you do have to go into it several times in order to get that really golden highlight because it's kind of lackluster in its pigment. And then when we're looking at these top two colors, mine have dried out immensely since I opened it the other day. And I was shocked when I went in to swatch this because the other day it had a smoother consistency. Sure, they were a little bit harder to build up, but overall, I was able to apply it better than swatch it. But then I went back in it today, and as you all can see, and I will bring it up closer, these things are almost dry and they have little to no pigmentation, and I just got this. There's no color payoff of this. This is already completely dry, and these are that silly putty glowy type products, and we've seen MAC do something like this here lately where it almost feels like I say putty, and you can kind of smush it and reshape the powder and kind of smooth it out if you want to, and it gives you pigmentation but just barely. But I don't think that this palette has much longevity to it at all if it's already dried out after a few days. So I am very disappointed in this, and it hasn't even been a full week since I've had this palette and it already has done that. So I'm like, yo, none of the other cream products that I've gotten from Natasha Denona have done that, and I've had some of these over a year, and this one is brand new and it's already dry. So I don't know if mine is defective, but I will say that this is a different formulation than the other products. The other products are traditional cream highlight, and this is that putty type highlight. These are actually called Bounce Cream Glows. I'm not sure why this did that. You always want to make sure you keep your flap over it, but the pigmentation of this palette just is not up to par, especially not with the original one. I feel like this one is a lot more versatile. You're able to go in with a lighter hand if you want to, and I feel like it works for a more diverse range of people versus the new one, which can be a little bit limiting because let's just say the top two colors didn't dry out. I do think that this is more so geared for a lighter complected person because these top two colors are super light. Because this color is kind of versatile and who it'll work for because it is so lightly pigmented that pretty much if you have a light complexion, you could use this entire palette comfortably with the exception of this color as a traditional highlighter. You could use it as a blush if you want to. So overall, I was already preferring the tan palette, but now I don't recommend the bronze palette at all simply because this formulation is no bueno. It dries out and then it's not giving anything within a matter of few days. So I would almost dare to say that it's defective because I know that's not normal. So I say check it if you all have already gotten this to see if yours has done this, because I'm like, for $55 plus tax, I don't think so. If I had to just limit it down to two, I would most definitely pick the tan face palette, and I would pick the Bloom face palette. I feel like these are the best 2 out of 4. But if I had to rank them, going from the one that I would repurchase first to the one that I would leave at the store, it would be as follows: the Tan Bronze and Glow face palette, the Bloom palette, the Love Glow palette, and then finally I would leave this one all the way at the store, the Bronze Cheek palette. I want to know what you guys think about these palettes down below. Do you all have them? Do you collect them? Have you checked your palette? Is yours acting strange? Let me know down in the comments section. I really want to know what you guys have to say about that. And I will check you all later in my very next video, which will be super soon. So I'm going to go ahead and insert swatches after I say smooches. So stay tuned for those comparisons. But I hope that you all enjoy that, and smooches!